Here we go.
Ah,
Welcome, everybody. This is our little show, Sour About Life, where Daniel and I are going to write the software we kind of feel like writing at the time,
that's right.
uh,
Sup, internet. We're
instead
here.
of writing the stuff that we do for a living.
Right, which is kind of similar but different.
Because we're the boss. Dang it,
We
I
are
need
the
to talk
boss.
quieter. I amped up my mic volume. I hope I'm not drowning anybody, shouting at everybody. But here we are,
You
and
should
look at
try.
that.
All right, so what are we
So,
doing this week?
what are we doing this week? Well, um, we did a little work offline on our site.
By
Our-
we, you.
right. Well, no, you worked. It just didn't produce any results. You
That's
know,
true.
just didn't do any good.
Yeah, I was
Um,
trying to get live updating working with Spark because the world says that that's doable, but it didn't work for me.
all right. So this is probably the fourth episode we did here, and I spent our time working on offline, jazzing up the CSS a little bit, making it not look completely like butts. And
Yeah,
this
good
is
job there, by the way. I was pretty surprised that you made it look that good.
um yeah, and so there's the there it is, man. That's our website, and basically at this point we could more or less just call it done. I don't know how well it's coming through in the stream, but I got a lemon peel repeating background here from a live lemon on our title. This faint background back here is um, a hex dump of the bash command, the binary. Well, obviously it's not the whole thing. Clearly, it's like the first command. Right, there's not much of it there, but there it is. So, last couple times we spent some time talking about accessibility. We talked about CSS and how we weren't that great at it. We're using the new HTML5 details to get this little automatic details and summary to get this little automatic disclosure going on. Happens all client side, of course, which makes it really fast, really nice. Doesn't work in Internet Explorer, but no one's surprised. Should work everywhere else. I looked at it on my work laptop, which is a Mac laptop, since last week and the week before we talked a little bit about accessibility. And I checked out the page in VoiceOver, which is the reader that comes, the screen reader that comes with Macs for free. There's a few. What is the Windows one now? I can't remember what it's called. There's VoiceOver for the Mac, which is free, and then there's NVDA, which is free, which is sort of the open source one. But then there's the other one they use on Windows. It's ridiculously expensive.
Hmm.
I think on the order of $2,000 to $5,000.
Wow.
Which
It's a good thing
seems
they're not, pricing that shit in a predatory way to take advantage of the disabled or anything.
right.
Right. Because that would be a bummer if that's what they were doing.
That wouldn't be cool at all, man.
No.
What the hell is it called? I don't care what it's called. Anyway, in VoiceOver, it doesn't quite do these disclosures correctly. So,
What happens?
So it reads this as being open. It'll tell you the titles of whatever. You can't see what I'm doing. Hold on, internet. I'm gonna give Daniel a view into my life by sharing my screen. There we go.
Ah, yes.
All right. So when you tab over to one of these articles, it will read it and then it'll give the state of it, and it says that it's open, I think. Either opened or closed all the time. It doesn't change. And then it tells you the command you could use to toggle it, and that command doesn't work. It doesn't toggle it. You can't just hit the space bar to toggle it. But when you do, it doesn't announce to the screen reader that anything changed.
Huh.
So.
Wow.
Doesn't quite work. So at some point we might pick up a project just as a learning lesson on how to fix those accessibility issues on the site, but I don't think we're going to do it right now.
Right.
The second thing that I played with a little bit was, let me get back over here and make sure everything sounds right. Yeah, was responsive web design. Right, and I'm sure you've heard those words before, but I'm not sure you've ever done it.
It's the kind of thing where I've gotten it for free from like Bootstrap, and that's as much as I've ever done.
Well,
but I know how to check it. Let me tell you how I check it, because I'm a boss. I just shrink the window down. I just squeeze the window nice and hard.
That's right.
See if it produces lemonade. And it looks like it mostly does, actually, here.
So if you shrink it down all the way to mobile size, like 360 pixel width, you'll see it changes more. So I don't know what all Bootstrap does for you, but there's a lot of things that you can do besides just make sure all the elements on the page resize, right? Because that's just the very tiniest basic thing, is to have the elements resize correctly. But so if we had a 2-column layout, for instance, where we had a sidebar on the right here to search, if we shrink it down to mobile, what we'd probably want to do is remove the sidebar and put it as a collapsed menu on top. So it's a 1-column design. Because when you're on a cell phone, really everything on a cell phone should be a 1-column design.
Right.
And then you should have it collapsed by default, because even though we want it up there on the top to where it's easily accessible, it is the secondary content, so we want it to be collapsed usually, and then have the main content nice and neat. So
right.
Other than that, there's a lot of other things you can do too, of course. But anyway, one thing in that vein that I did is,
tell me.
If we can, it's watching. If we shrink it down to mobile, I got rid of the margins on the side of the page, because there's in a 1-column layout, there's really no point in having this extra 50 pixels or whatever it is when you've only got 320 to play with.
And so the way you did that is you created a media selector for when that's the screen size.
Right.
And then you override the CSS in there.
Now, a couple other things you might notice. I got rid of the background image behind the page, and I got rid of the background image texturing the title of the page. If you don't have to download that stuff on mobile, it's probably better off, right?
Right.
Page load faster, maybe.
Well, that's really cool. Like I've used Bootstrap to do this stuff, but I've never actually seen how it's done.
So
I've purchased the sausage, but I've never actually made it. So that's pretty cool.
Now, one thing is, I don't think I have the screen width set. I had it at max width of 360. And I might have to change that, because I think, at least on my cell phone, I think it's wider than that, so it doesn't actually hit this breakpoint. But so I'm gonna have to adjust that number there to get it responsive, to get it a little more responsive. And you maximize it out on the desktop, and you get all your image backgrounds, and everything's fancy.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's what we did. That's what I did.
So, like, in Bootstrap, what you do is for the column stuff, there are CSS classes that it's got a 12 by 12, or I guess it's a 12 column grid by default.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a bunch of separate classes for like saying I want a column width of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. So if you want to make a 3-column layout, you could do like, has a column width of 4 and this is 4 and this is 4, and then it'll stack them up next to each other because it adds up to 12. Or if you wanted to do a sidebar on one side, you could do like an 8 and a 4 or whatever. Right. And there are different selectors for screen sizes. So there's like you do like .col-xs-4, and that means on an extra small screen, you want 4 units of column. And if you use .xs and then .lg and .md and .xl, I think, or whatever, there are 4 different sizes basically you can pick from. And it does this interesting cascading thing where you can say if it's an XS12 and an MD4, then it looks at the browser and it goes, well, you're bigger than a medium, so you're going to get 4 units of column.
Right.
But it's doing, under the hood, it's doing exactly what you're doing there.
Yeah. So I added a whole separate CSS style sheet to keep the mobile rules in. And it's pretty easy. Just media, screen, max width of whatever, and put in your CSS for when your screen is at that width or smaller. Mm-hmm. No problem. I think I'm gonna up it to like 480 or something. I don't know what a good normal break would be.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I would have thought 360 is probably a good one, but I don't know.
Yeah, but it didn't work on my Samsung phone over here, so.
Yeah, but that's not a real phone, because it doesn't have an Apple logo on the back, so.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand. How you are. We've been here before.
Anyway, yes, we have been here before.
Did you try turning on voiceover on anything?
No, I totally didn't.
You can do it right now. You just hit Command F5.
Command F5. Welcome to VoiceOver. Oh, that's neat.
Then you hit Command F5 to turn it back off. Because like we mentioned earlier, it's difficult to use. Everything has 3 modifiers. It's like Command, Option, Shift, and then a button.
Command, Control,
maybe
Option.
Control, Option, Shift, up and down arrow, and anyway.
Yes, Control, Option, Shift, down arrow. It's not listening to me. Oh, this is weird, dude. It's like, yeah, I don't like it.
And like I mentioned before, even as fast as it's reading there, like you can crank up that speed to where it's nonsense. Yeah. It's just straight nonsense, but
to us,
but for someone who's been using it for years, it just flows by. And you gotta wonder, do they get really, really like pissed off and like bored listening to us to talk at a normal cadence, like having this conversation, right? They're like, Jesus, will you hurry up? Right?
It does sort of beg the question. I don't know. Then again, in-person conversation tends to have a lot more, socio content, I guess you might say, social content that isn't present when you write something. The actual writing is kind of bloaty. So
right.
I don't know.
But they're also missing out on a lot of.
Ask your blind friends, dude. Where are all your friends of color and your blind friends? Get them on this. Get them on our chat.
We need to. Can we just get a blind black LGBT Muslim
gay Muslim,
and just cover it all in one shot?
Yeah, because that'd be, we're not great at making friends, so it'd be good if we could get everything in one shot, That way we can be bad friends to one person instead of 5 people.
Now. None of
Okay.
that. I do
So that's
have,
cool.
so like the school my kids go to is a pretty poor school. Well, no, it's not a poor school. The school's doing fine. It's publicly funded, but it's a in a poor neighborhood, relatively
Mm,
speaking, for Denver. Uh,
yeah.
to where something like I think they said 70 or 80% of the students get free lunches. Because they're in that bracket.
Well, if you're not, you're a sucker, man.
Well, yeah. So we went to pay the lunch lady. We pay by the month or whatever instead of every day. Uh, and she was surprised when we went in to give her money. She's like, "Are you sure? We should check. Are you sure that you need to pay me? Because nobody pays me." Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've got this covered. I will give you money. It's fine.
How much does that cost?
um, I don't remember. It's not much. I mean, it's not dirt cheap, but
I'm just thinking about like the food that I had and what it
yeah.
would cost to prepare it.
And
You know,
like
$1 Totino's pizza turns into like 6 or 9 servings. So, and then like a bag of peas turns into like a bunch of servings. Probably also 8. So that's like 50 cents. I don't know. Anyway, just talking smack here.
no, it's true. I mean, how much could you possibly? Well, the thing is the food. The food is negligible
Right,
in price because it's really gross, bad food.
right, right.
What you're paying for is, the staff and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
that's probably true. There was a thing on Reddit like a couple of years ago, I guess,
Soylent
where
Green is
people were.
people.
Well, that was the thing too. Soylent. God, I actually bought Soylent. I've
Nice.
tasted. I have tasted the fruit of Soylent, and it's not great. It's not great stuff. Uh, I think the idea there appealed to hackers. It appealed to my wife when she was pregnant with Olive because the idea of not having to think about food and still gaining sustenance without
Right.
having to like worry about cooking and the actual stuffing of it into your mouth. She had kind of a hard pregnancy with the second one. So, but then when she actually tried it, she didn't really like it that much.
Yeah.
I took it to my work. A bunch of different programmers there tried it, and only one of them liked it, but he absolutely loved it. It's just that they have a small but very passionate demographic of people. You know.
Well, that's all right. That's all right.
Anyway, yeah, there was a thing on Reddit a few years ago, people taking pictures of school lunches from their country, and like every other country's school lunches just look so awesome compared to ours. But then again, you're getting the school lunches that people are willing to take pictures of and upload to Reddit to show off. So
Right.
the bowl full of gruel didn't really make the cut. So.
Indeed. All right. So there's another thing I did. Um, a jQuery thing. I
Oh
added
yeah.
the I added a data attribute to our articles.
Hmm.
And it's just data dash anything you want. So I put just a white space separated list of our episode tags in there.
Oh, cool.
And what that
So
eventually
yeah.
lets you do, if we were to bust this open, you probably absolutely can't read this tiny text, but damn, you should be able to do something like, oh yeah, I already did it once. All right, article.episode. Episode is our CSS class, and just say .data tags, right? And you get the tags for the article
Nice.
in JavaScript. So we could use that really simple query to use jQuery to filter articles by tag and whatnot if we wanted to.
So, like, do you know anything about CSS animation?
No, not really.
Hmm. That's something I'm kind of curious about. I've seen it used recently, but I don't understand a whole lot about it. Yeah, let's
Well,
Google this shit. Let's learn it
oops.
live.
Let's an
Because I mean, you
element
can.
gradually change from one style to another. You can change as many different properties as you want to use CSS3 first animation. Must do some things with stuff. Only
Oh, neat.
available in the latest.
Well, yeah, but
Is this Opera? They still make Opera?
I think they do, but I think it's based on WebKit now,
It
isn't it?
yeah, it says yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
so I don't really know what the value add there is.
It's basically the same as Safari, is same as Chrome, same as all right.
Right.
All right. Keyframes. Example. I don't know. Is example
Must be an element.
Oh no, it's you get to name it. It's the name
Oh,
of your
okay.
animation, and then down here, animation name, you can specify which one you're talking about and how long it takes.
Interesting.
So you just say from and give it a whole bunch of CSS properties, whatever you want, and to and give it a whole bunch of CSS properties.
Well, I'm thinking like from display block to display none. Right? You could probably make it disappear that way in kind
I'm
of a sexy
sure.
way. jQuery had some stuff like this too back in the day.
Yeah.
Uh, you could animate a hide by giving it a time or something.
All right. Display block. Display none. All right, run it.
That didn't do what I expected.
All right, cool. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done
All
with
right.
it.
Done.
I came, I saw, I went. So I upgraded our the jQuery version we were pulling in also. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
pulling in the latest jQuery in our headers. And we're including tags. So moving on though to something more fun. Basically, as it is, we could call our website done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have the ability to post shows on it, and it doesn't look terrible. Done and done.
Right. So, all
So
right. What do you want to move on to?
from this point, now we get to just play, right? And like I said, we could fix the accessibility. We could fix the responsiveness of the page isn't quite right yet. We can add features like being able to search and click on the tags and stuff. Right now we only have 3 episodes, so it's not hard to just look with your eyeballs, with your human eyeballs,
Mm-hmm.
or your human ears.
Yeah, or we could start a new project.
Or we can start playing with a new thing. So I had an idea. Internet,
Yeah.
I had an idea. And before we get to that idea, I'm going to take a short micro break so I can cut the video in a really convenient spot. I'll be right back.